Hi, this is Andrea Jennings. Welcome to Access for All Integrating Accessibility, where we explore the intersection of pop culture and accessibility. We'll shine a spotlight on those who are opinion leaders in the accessibility world. They are bringing change in this groundbreaking show. So join us each episode as we change the future.
So I grew up and socialized and talked, and I was around a lot of white people. Mm-hmm. I was in an area where I had a great education, and I was able to, quote unquote, be a competitor, compete with the hearing counterparts. My parents weren't embarrassed about me being deaf, and my father has helped a lot of deaf Black kids in the community and advocated for them to go into the deaf school to increase their education, for them to learn. These students that my dad helped, he noticed that their English wasn't that good, so he made sure to act on getting these students into the school so they can get their education as equivalent as the rest of the other kids.
To create equity.
Yes, that is exactly what I want and what I'm all about.
Yeah.
You know, growing up, I did not really have a problem with that, answering your question, until I got into the college domain. That's where I started to see different cliques, isolations, me, the only Black deaf student, and I'm like, where are all my deaf Black people at? Where it's just nothing but white people here. And it took a long time. It really did. I will go to the National Theater for the Deaf, and I finally found two of my own kind. I said, oh, all right. And it wasn't until I moved here to California, I did start to see more of the blend of different people. And it's important for us to mingle with with the hearing people, to show awareness. And because of the Rights Act, it really springboarded deaf people such as myself to be able to have access to these areas. And and from my upbringing, I really go back to my upbringing. The more I was able to integrate with the people, I learned so much, and I was able to be a waymaker for other Black deaf folks to follow in my footsteps and beyond.
Thank you for that. That's so important that you were a part of social justice and you use your platform to increase social justice and equity, and that you're following in your parents' footsteps. So I'm really proud of that, to hear that. Now let's talk a little bit about all of the work that you're doing in TV and film. Now that I know how you got into that area, tell me a little bit about Sign World Studios, and I'd love to hear about what you're doing. Do I understand that you have a production company?
Yes,
love to hear more
I
about
do.
that.
Sure thing. So I founded a film production company in hopes that I can, produce independently instead of relying and waiting for auditions. It's tough as a Black deaf actor.
Yeah.
There's not many writing roles for me to fill. And I was so fortunate that they were looking for an authentic Black, older, someone in their 80s, 90s. I mean, I'm not old, I'm just saying that. I'm still young. And, I was picked for that role. And that's what really motivated me to find my own company, because I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait for these people. And to my surprise, I started getting invited, and telling me that they want my story and they want me to be in their films. And so I'm very excited. And I want to let you know that after that festival, Sunlight International Film Festival, Signlight International Film Festival, I decided to make my own films where we have deaf and hearing people involved. And so so we can have opportunities for the deaf to be in front of the camera. Because a lot of situations, there's just maybe they'll have just one deaf person in front of the camera on different sets, and we want maybe a full cast. We want deaf people in front of the screen, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
There's so many talent that is out there. There are people who have graduated from NTID, the National Rochester Institute, Technical Institute for the Deaf, with BA degrees. And guess what? They weren't able to find jobs.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I decided for me to make my own production company and hire those people. And also to bring in people who may need more training. And that is where we go into Signlight. Signlight is a training program, and once they receive the skills, we bring them into our production company. And this includes, them being able to have access to shows like Sony or on HBO, and for them to get that experience. And I'll expand on that further, but I'm going to hold on to that.
I would love to know about your long-term plan going into filming, and what is your plan for the next, 10, 15 years or and beyond?
Sign World Productions? Okay, so I have several scripts in the making, on hold right now. One of them will be about a black deaf kid who got arrested in Mississippi. And this will be taking place in the 1940s. Just an innocent kid, not able to have communication with anybody, no interpreter, and he was put in an asylum for a long time, not realizing that he was deaf. And a lawsuit was involved. The asylum got sued, and then he was placed in a halfway home, and 3 years later he passed away. So I want someone to play that role, and I'm working on the script, and I'll be working on that to get into film. Another one I'm working on is a sci-fi created by a deaf person, and another one will be another drama story, a romance about a deaf man who falls in love with a hearing blind woman, and it'll highlight on how they communicate with each other.
Right.
So that'll be fun. And we have several others. I have several other scripts that the deaf will have stories about their lived experience, their life,
Yes.
their frustrations, and how they broke through. Just be living normal everyday lives. Because you see stories about Hispanic people, Black people, but what about deaf people?
Yeah.
There's not enough stories, and we need that on our platform for people to know that there are lived experiences that people have.
Yeah.
And in the future, I will be working on partnerships in Europe as well as here who are interested and who will want to invest and have good partnership. So I have a good network on that. So after the film festival, I will be moving to make everything happen.
I love that. I love that. I'm so excited about everything that you're doing. You are part of the change. You're not just talking about the change, you're creating the change. And so.
Yes, I'm a change maker.
Yes, you are.
I have passion. I'm passionate about what I do. The passion, I feel like, is a key to success.
Yeah.
And having that ability and the passion to do it, whatever the problems, that's fine. That's not going to stop me. That has nothing to do with me being Black or deaf, having hearing loss, or all of that stuff. Passion will overcome any obstacle.
One of the things that I want to talk to you about, and I'm so happy that we learned about your past, your history, your why, and then we're learning about the change that you are creating. And one of the things that I find really wonderful that you've done is you created a new form of sign language called Navi for the movie Avatar.
Oh, yes.
Wow, talking about change maker. Please go into how did you come about this? How did this even take place? This is so interesting.
I'm extremely proud about being able to work with James Cameron, who wanted to have sign language underwater, and Navi was something that was perfect. I want to explain how I got the job a little bit. So an agency reached out to me and said, hey, James Cameron wants to have an interview with you. and he wants to know if you can come up with sign language. And he contacted me. I was like, wait, me? CJ? And I thought it was a joke at first. That email, like, it seemed like it might have been a bad email or someone's trying to fish me or something.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yes, exactly. And I was tripping out. I was like, is it spam?
Right.
But I went ahead with it, and I met James Cameron in person,
Wow.
along with John Lau. And that was in Manhattan Beach, in the office over there. And we just had, he sat right next to me, just like where you were sitting at. He said, hey, nice to meet you. And he told me, CJ, all right, go ahead. And I said, okay. I threw my pitch, talked about ASL, the history of ASL, and to have a new sign language is going to be something that's going to be a big project.
Yeah.
We can't use languages that are already established, and we wanted something very original. And I felt so comfortable having that conversation with him. I felt like he was just normal people like I was, but in the back of my mind, I definitely was like, oh my God, James Cameron.
And he is, but you felt seen and heard.
Yeah, I did it. And in 15 minutes, he said, all right, CJ, stop. And I'm like, okay. And he said, you know what, CJ, I love your energy. I love how you're talking to me. I love how you're doing this. And he told the guy to the left, like, hey, hire him. I got to take off. And I was just awestruck, like, okay.
Just shocked.
I'm like, pinch me, this can't be real.
Yeah.
And moving forward, I've been working with him for 2 years, coming up with over 300 Navi signs, all original, and we're still working on more. We actually have a Navi sign language school where people who they're interested and want to learn the Navi language. So I feel like that's a big move in history.
I mean, I know you just told me how you felt. You were shocked, but once the shock wore off, how did you feel, like deep inside?
I have always felt that I am equal with any of my counterparts, successful. So when I got hired to work, I got it. I told myself, I have something to contribute. I have talent. And I became more confident with that than ever before, recognizing that I have the ability to be as successful as anyone else and through my creative work. At first, me worrying about like, oh, will they like me? Oh, what do I need to do to bend to them? I was like, forget that, man. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna learn my old way, but just be me, just be real, For me to pursue and learn along the way is the key to being successful. Because you're gonna make mistakes. You just gotta not be afraid to fix them, and have the confidence to continue. That's the road to success. And I love working with successful people because that's their passion.
Yeah.
They want to keep being successful. And I love the industry that I am in. And it's great to be able to contribute work for the world.
And I love what you're saying, because I often tell people, we're not looking for charity, we're looking for equity. And so what I hear you saying is that you always knew that you could do this. You're just happy that everyone is finally recognizing that we can be just as successful as anyone. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, that's why it's, something I learned recently. You probably know what I'm talking about. DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
Yes.
DEIA, I was like, man, I wish they had that 20 years ago, because that's the answer. That is really the answer, man.
Right. Yeah, because we're not looking for any sympathy, any charity. We, like you said, we have degrees, we have talent,
I hate the charity perspective.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here you go. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Like, and then they just push us under the rug.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm all about, hey, we're here. Let's work together to make this happen.
Yeah, and you're right. What's harmful about the charity model is that suppose, because they put you in a box of how I think they feel comfortable in how they perceive you. So You know, they want it's a very
Yes.
limited view.
Yes.
So, and I agree with you. How we're talking more in a social model, it's more empowering and authentic to what who we really are, and that's why it's so important
Deep
that
down
you
inside,
have
yeah.
yeah
In the room. It's important to have
exactly
us in the room, not sitting on the
exactly
sidelines. Like if they picked you as a token to just to
right.
fill that role and
It
then
doesn't
just
help.
like move on
Yeah,
after you, that's not
yeah.
successful.
No.
We got to get rid of the tokenism. We have to
Yeah.
get rid of the pity and the charity. I hate that word. We got to throw that out the window. We
Exactly.
got to pick you for who you are and give you that opportunity and have you on that platform. And what's important to have that mentorship and that support that
Yeah.
people believe in you. That is important.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
belief in
you're right.
you, and you have that, it makes all the difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with disability. It has nothing to do with me being black.
Yeah.
It's the belief that I see you, that I
Yeah.
am being seen.
Yes.
And then the road is clear
Yeah.
after that.
We can do the rest. Yep. That's all. We just need the barriers removed. Exactly. Is what I hear you saying. Yeah.
Yes. And even if they don't see you, man, that's their problem.
Yep. Yeah.
We just move on. And later, when you make it, oh, best believe they're going to be coming back like, oh, I would love to work with you. And you're sitting there like, where you been at? I've been here. They want to just grab onto your shoulders like, excuse me.
Right.
No, you worked your own way. Bye. You had your chance.
You are so funny. So, you know, and speaking about this, how can businesses, public spaces, but in particular, I would say entertainment spaces, how can they do better at accommodating us, as we just said? What can they do?
That's a great question. I have worked on many different TV shows across the board, and I've seen the whole industry, and it's so interesting where they think like certain things are right, and I have to educate them. And this education thing, it's tiring.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I have to arrive there and I explain what my role is and what I do, and like it's not so simple where I can just show up and do my work. You know, educating
Yeah.
people is really not my job.
Yeah.
My job there is to be a creative, to teach,
Yeah.
to translate, to work closely with the director to make sure we're in the right frames
Yeah.
and educate that. Once I've worked with them, like giving them that education spiel about how to work with, they immediately realize like we can pick it up. We know what to do. We know how to do our jobs. And once we have that communication barrier, removed, then the coast is clear. You know, my responsibility is to work closely with the DASL and making sure the framing is correctly. And once we're in the clear with that, there's nothing in our way. There's no like situations where we have to pause or stop. Like we work.
Yeah.
And this has happened with every TV show set that I'm on.
Yeah.
And now, like me, my experience with DASL, I'm able to move up with all of my experiences that I've learned over the years. Like I could do this.
Yeah.
You know, I could be a creative. And I'm just like, you know what? Like I could do this. I'm gonna make sure that you're not gonna steal my job, you know?
And so, you know, we both have a dear friend, Terry Hartman Squire. And since you were just talking about on set accessibility,
Tari, yes.
Since we were just talking about on-set accessibility, one of the things that she and I both advocate for as accessibility coordinators so that we can, like you said, do our job. But if they have an accessibility coordinator on set, we wouldn't have to explain.
There it is right there.
Yeah. So this is so great to have this show so that we can explain to other production companies, to other people, how important it is to start hiring accessibility coordinators and have people in executive spaces so that things hire authentic disabled executives and actors and creatives and showrunners and this is why it's so great that we even have this opportunity. I'm so grateful to even have this show. One of the last questions I have for you is, are there any myths that you find very harmful in the industry for disabled individuals, any disability that you want to take this time to talk about?
Oh, I mean, what I've seen is very common. Are you talking about like in the TV industry or the
In the
movie
TV
industry?
industry and the movie industry.
Okay. A common misconception is that I have to take care of the deaf person. Like, that's not my job. They're independent people. They have a mind of their own.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know? Like, I'll give you a good example. So, the movie Baby Driver, the one that I was in, right?
Yeah.
There were a lot of hearing people, you know, going for auditions, and they found me through found my name in a drawer. They just picked my name, my resume out in a drawer. This was at Sony Industries, and you know, they pulled my information out. They called me up, and I did not bring my interpreter at that time. Do you know the reason why? They were looking at me, and not on the interpreter. I would make them have to communicate through to me, like, hey, I'm deaf, and here I am, me, authentic black deaf person. And there were a lot of people in that room. And I sat, I did my thing, I auditioned, and when I did my thing, I was thinking, how the hell do they understand my signs? And I'm just like, hey, do you guys understand what I signed? And they all were looking at each other, and I'm like, you forgot to get an interpreter then, didn't you? You know, they were trying to laugh it off, and they say, hey, don't worry. The next time when I audition, we'll have it down.
Right, the director.
Yeah.
The director, Edgar Wright, for Baby Driver, he came up to me, he took a seat, and he was like, trying to talk to me, and I'm like, whoa, back up, man, back up. Whoa. Excuse me, man, you don't have to like yell at me, not in my face.
Right.
Yeah. You know, just talk slow, maybe use your gestures. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And he kind of worked that out.
Yeah.
Everybody, that was a laughable moment. And after I auditioned after Christmas and into the new year, I was thinking, maybe I didn't get the role. And I got an email telling me that I got the job.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Atlanta, Georgia, you know, I got on set. I requested for an interpreter. Everything was good to go. We got it all lined up. Maybe a week later, you know, I had a great time with them. Everybody else said, whoa, let me go back, actually. You know, I was in a full circle, straight up cold reading. And James Fox was sitting in one of, Lily Thomas was there. Just big names, just in the circle.
So Jamie Foxx and Lily
Yeah, Jamie Foxx was there.
Wow.
Yeah. Big time. And he was looking right at me. Everybody was like looking at me, and I'm like, wait, like I was an alien.
Really?
Like seriously, they never met a deaf person.
What?
And on top of that, a deaf actor. They were just like looking at shock. And when it was my turn to do my lines, they were all on me, and I just signed, I did my thing, I did my lines. And Jamie Foxx was trying to lip read, and I caught what he said. He said, "You're very good." I was like, "What the hell? Like, no, I'm good. I'm a good actor. That's why they picked me."
Right.
But man, after we were all said and done, they came up to me and they were sharing with me how it was exciting to work with me, and we did an awesome job. Jamie Foxx came to my trailer. He stopped by. And he came in, she tried to show me his signs and tried to introduce himself. And it was his finger sparing is terrible, but you know, I gotta be a good support man. And I told him, good job.
He was supportive.
But I'm very impressed with them, everybody on the set. And it was a great work experience. You know, I got invited to go over to his house, and it was a great experience.
Yeah.
It was a highlight of my life. For me to experience a breakthrough and just to meet friendly people and for me to be in my element and not have to feel being helped, it was great.
Right.
They saw me as equal, and that's what makes a difference. That's what's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to have mentors in the deaf community, for them to not feel dependent on anyone, for them to be you know, aggressive, and they have to be willing and open, and as well as importantly, patient.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Oh, You are making a difference here today, because although you have been in so many great projects, Avatar, The Lincoln Lawyer, you've been associated with Coda, Baby Driver, as you just mentioned, Everything is Going to Be Okay, and Shameless, so many different projects. I think one of the greatest things is just to sit here and just listen to you, the real authentic person, talk about these experiences so that we can educate people. I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to come here today. It is an honor to sit down with you and talk to you. I've been a fan of yours for quite some time. Please tell our viewers how they can connect with you, support your work, and where can they find you on social media?
Sure thing. Yeah. Thank you for the nice closeout. Talking about Sunlight International Film Festival, SIFF, will be hosting next month, April 16th to the 20th. And hopefully you all can come.
Definitely.
And enjoy the festival. We'll have a panel. We'll be hosting workshops. Sony will be there. HBO, NBCU will be there. Many other people from the industry will be there. And they'll be learning about deaf filmmakers from all over the world. They will be coming here, sharing, supporting, sharing resources, and figuring out how to expand and to have deaf story makers into the industry, and what we will do about it. I'm sure you all know of England, their BSL zone. They have their own TV channel.
Right.
Sponsored by the government. BBC has been investing in that. The same as same as Norway. They have their own TV station, of a full deaf cast, up front and center, and sponsored by their own government again. And I'm just like, what's up, America? Where we at?
Right.
Let's do what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, we got to raise money, and we're hitting these barriers about why we're not seeing these actions. So it's important to have this festival to talk about how we can work together. We'll have mentorship, training, how to develop movies and partnership, you name it. We'll have so much information there, and to have the deaf there to learn about the industry and find talented people as well.
Thank you so much. And one thing I want to do really quickly, we talked about DASL. Quickly, can you explain to us what DASL is?
Yes, Directors of ASL is the responsibility of that is to work closely with the director for framing, as well as teaching the hearing actors from English to ASL signs. It's the same with deaf actors, how they transliterate and then make sure they sign and make sure the rhythm is on point. And there's some questions on how do you translate the English into ASL, so it's that type of work. I also work with hearing writers. I work with writers that are in the room, and I explain and educate them on deaf culture, deaf life. And so they learn and they write something that is appropriate and authentic. And that's what my role, that's my role in it. And I tell them, don't ever limit your thinking about deaf people and what you may think what they can or can't do. Deaf people can do anything besides hear. It could be good, it could be, deaf people can play the roles as villains, good guys, a gangster, somebody terrible. Like we can do all these roles. They get married, they get divorced. Deaf people are lesbians.
We are all different. Yeah.
Yes, we are different. That's right.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Well, I'm honored to be here with you, interviewing with you, and I hope one day we can do more. What you're doing here is amazing.
Thank you.
Keep getting the message out every day. That's a daily job that we got to do no matter what.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking the time to tell us. And I know we talked about education, but we appreciate it today. Thank you so much.